and welcome. This is John Harvey with the Virtual Film Company. This is a special segment that we're doing on AI and whether AI has lost its glow. So the reason I say that is that over the last couple of months, we've seen a number of devices come out. And while this isn't purely AI, the Apple Vision Pro appears to have come out with a lot of hype. But one of the things that everyone was saying is that it's too expensive. And that indeed has proved to be the case, that we're starting to see used Apple Pros, barely used Apple Pros, being sold on eBay as people try to get rid of them. There's just no comparison in my mind between an Apple Pro and the $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 price, depending on what accessories one gets, and a Oculus 3. The Quest 3 has really come a long way, and it's an amazing device for under $500. But the real surprise is how much hype was given to the Rabbit and to the Humanity Pin. And the Rabbit was hyped at CES this year. In fact, I believe it won one of the Best at CES awards. But what's really becoming apparent is that it's a poor version of a cell phone without the cell phone. And so the question that I asked initially when I saw the device is, why would someone want a device like that? Yes, you can talk to an AI API back end, but you can do exactly the same thing on a cell phone. And yes, it's cheaper than some cell phones, but personally, I would prefer to carry one device. And then the Humanity Pen, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, to me was just an absolute failure from day one. To expect a projection to appear on one's hand in bright sunlight, is just too much. I've spent a lot of time with electronics in bright sunlight and can tell you a lot of stories on why one has to make special allowances to be able to see it in bright sunlight. So, Chris, Eric, any thoughts on this topic?
I definitely have some. Chris, do you want to tee it off? I could definitely go on about a few of those.
No, go ahead.
Well, so for the Apple Vision Pro, as somebody who used it, I feel like it's a lot of the same thing we dealt with the Quest Pro. It was only an $1,800 price tag that I tested out, and it just was not good enough to justify keeping it. Trying the Vision Pro, a few of its real failures that I felt like is, it felt like you brought up, you had all the function of an iPad, just like looking at it on a immersive screen around you. And that's not enough when you're telling people that this is like a new, really cool experience. I feel like the biggest mark that they missed was all of these other people that had Vision Pros having a social platform. I heard even like a spatial, a VR chat. They needed to be able to get into one of these platforms to have people who have these headsets be able to interact. And then they could create their cool content and they could put it on the web. I feel like for them to not have a real social experience within the Vision Pro, if you don't have that, how is it going to be a success? My brother has one, and that's the one I tried out, and I've asked him a couple times, hey, have you used it? No, I've just been busy. I haven't gotten around to it. Which, yeah, you can build this cool tech, but if you don't have the programs for people to enjoy the experience with, you're gonna fail. If you don't have Beat Saber in a headset, like, come on now, like, I don't know what they're thinking. So I'll start with the Vision Pro. That's my take on the Vision Pro. And you, Chris?
Yeah, well, you can hear me, I guess. The Vision Pro is for sure something like one of those devices where a company thought like, okay, we announced that we're going into this direction, and they probably spent quite some money on developing something. And this product shows that there's no real vision in the Vision Pro, because If you have a device and you don't have the killer app, or one thing where people say like, okay, it's just one application, it's just one use case, but that one is really awesome. I can use it on this occasion, whatever kind of, right? I don't see that with the Vision Pro, and on top of that, I can see lots of other devices that do almost the same. Maybe not in the same quality, but getting near to it. And the price point is just insane for what it does, obviously. So that's a problem. What I also see, and I don't like at all, is when companies start to try to capture a whole segment of a technology. Like, we are the first device or the first company or whatever that started a full spatial computing device. Like, let's bring this term spatial computing to the people. That is out there for years. And the only thing it says is that the computer is basically aware of its environment. The device knows something what's going around it. Your computer at home doesn't know what's happening around because it don't have to care. The headsets know what's going around, right? How big the room is, what they can project into it, where your hands are, where your feet are. That's important for spatial computing. But that's all. It's not rocket science. It's not new. It has been there for years. And like Meta tries to be the metaverse, we are the metaverse. Now Apple just seems to be capturing like, we are spatial computing. And it's not correct. It's not like that. So, well, I don't see too much in this device. Let's see if there will be a cheaper one. Well,
no, you bring up a good point, Chris, and I think, strategy is the key to this. And it really makes me think, what the hell were these people thinking when they thought that they could bring out this device and, have mass adoption? And maybe it was just a test because, the word on the street is that they're coming out with a cheaper device. How much cheaper? Nobody seems to know yet. But man, I mean, to spend this amount of money on a test is just insane. And so again, strategy, being able to look at a market and say, the Quest 3, I believe, is still subsidized by Meta. And so we are going to bring out something that could cost up to $5,000 and expect people to, flock out and buy one when, I said the Meta device is well priced, but it's at a price point that still not everyone can afford. And, something we need to take into account.
Well, I mean, with those devices, for me, it's clear like this development that the Oculus did over years, and especially what it did with the Quest as a standalone device, not for freaks, because when I bought my DK2, it was for freaks. It was for some people who wanted to test VR, having a good gaming PC and backgrounds in programming, create your own development sceneries and whatever. Cool. But now having a device you can ship to anyone at home for, at that time, also $450 or whatever. Anyone can put it on the head and have fun with it. It worked. And we saw what developed out of that. We saw the development of how do people get their content to a infrastructure like the Quest user. Like, you have a developer and they should go first to the Oculus store and sell their whatever app or game there. But it was really, really, really heavy for those people. The developers had to be big companies, otherwise you were not accepted. And then we had something like SideQuest coming up, a purely community-driven attempt to bring content to the people. A huge success. They have millions of dollars investment, and that is great because it showed that so many people are out there having great ideas for games and experiences they can bring to the people. With this community, you're creating value. Where is this for the Apple Vision Pro?
Yeah. You hit it right on the head. Like, to me, I feel like almost anybody who bought it should feel almost insulted that they could not have one really cool app that could be, whether it's social. I feel like it really needed to be a social app as well, to where other people with these Vision Quest Pros could be interacting. Doesn't need to be some killing fighting game. Like, those could be built out of there. But I agree, like to spend that kind of money and not have one really cool program. I mean, to me, it shows that does Apple not have the developers in-house that they were working hand in hand with to release, like whenever like a new, like a PlayStation 5 is going to come out and it's got a new technology, they have a few specific games that they're generating that people are going to want to buy that system because that way they can play this game. And it's been this model time and time again that successful people do when launching a product.